A bomb exploded over the small town, but the young couple inside were unharmed, feeling not even a tremor. The outside of the town, however, was reduced to ruins, a stark contrast to the inside. The townspeople breathed a sigh of relief upon surviving, but the man was filled with worry. He realized that if even the bomb couldn't breach the invisible wall, they would be trapped forever. To make matters worse, the town had a large population but limited supplies. A few days earlier, a truck had swerved to avoid pedestrians, damaging the town's only water tower, and the lake was now polluted by dead fish, jeopardizing their survival. Facing imminent starvation, the townspeople panicked. They smashed windows and stormed into the supermarket, looting food and supplies, even engaging in fights. Chaos erupted. A policewoman, desperate, resorted to tear gas to try and stop the out-of-control residents, but with little effect. Finally, with no other option, she drew her pistol. However, just as she was about to fire, a sudden downpour roused the chaotic crowd, who hurriedly grabbed buckets to collect water. Meanwhile, Julie and the others arrived at the wall to see if the transparent barrier had disappeared. To their disappointment, the wall not only remained but also created a different climate for the town compared to the outside world. Since the dome appeared, the town had been plagued by bad news. One day, a house suddenly caught fire, but the neighbors stood by and did nothing. Only the man realized the gravity of the situation, because if the fire wasn't extinguished in time, the entire town would be in danger. He quickly directed the residents to fill buckets and bottles with water to fight the fire. However, the fire was too intense, and the water collected by hand was insufficient to extinguish it. The mayor had to bring in an excavator to flatten the entire house, thus stopping the fire from spreading. This firefighting operation also reunited the scattered hearts of the town. Just when everyone was filled with hope, a police officer suddenly stood up angrily, accusing the residents of deceiving themselves. He said they were pretending the thick smoke and the transparent wall didn't disappear, which drove him to despair. He pulled out his pistol and fired several shots at the wall, intending to remind the residents of their predicament. However, the bullets ricocheted and hit his colleague, leading to his arrest and imprisonment. As time passed and the barrier remained unmoved, the residents grew desperate. But George persevered. One day, while touching the transparent wall, a sudden inspiration struck him. He remembered that he and Karen had both fainted because of the wall and uttered strange words. Furthermore, he had made a gesture he couldn't reveal in the video recording. Therefore, he felt that some force in the town was supporting the transparent wall, and that this force was connected to them. So, he and Karen began their investigation. After circling the transparent wall, George drew a preliminary conclusion. Using his extensive knowledge, he calculated the center of the entire barrier. With a clear target, George and Karen confidently set off towards the marked location. Sure enough, upon arriving, they saw a small mound covered in leaves. Overjoyed, they quickly peeled back the leaves and washed away the dust with water. To their surprise, they discovered a miniature barrier inside, with a black egg at its center. Undoubtedly, this black egg was the reason for the town's barrier and the energy source that kept it sturdy. George then tried to communicate with the black egg, asking it to close the barrier and free the residents, but the egg remained unresponsive. In desperation, they tried placing their hands on the egg, hoping to communicate with